Yo, yo, algebrainiacs! Welcome to the Johnson-Kendall Video Hour.
But it's not an hour.
Dang! Alright, 6-4, Part 2, Rational Exponents. Okay, when you have to write expressions in simplest form, this is what you have to do. Make sure there's no zero exponents because anything to zero is just a 1. Fractional exponents, no negative exponents. Like terms, make sure they're combined. Fractions must be reduced. You should do that for the rest of your life. And remove any perfect squares. For instance, excuse me, square root of 12 could be square root of 4 times square root of 3, which is 2 root 3. Always check to see if there's something else that can be taken out. Okay, now here we have fractional exponents. Remember to try to take the root first before raising to a power. Try to make it smaller before you have to make it bigger again. So our root is 5. Whoops, I kind of missed. Let's try that again. Our root is 5. There we go. So I want to take the fifth root. Now this is, you got to be careful here. What is this fraction next to? It's next to the 32. It's not next to the negative sign. So you leave the negative sign alone for right now.
That's tricky.
It is tricky. You got to be careful of that because it feels like we're just going to take the fifth root of negative 32, but it's not. You have to go by what it's next to only. So the fifth root of 32 is 2, and then I still have that power, and 2 to the third power is 8, and then we tag on our little negative sign. So that's where you got to be extra careful. All right, this next one. We need to change it to a fraction first. So 3.5 is really 6 plus 1, that's 7 over 2. So we have 4 to the 7 halves. We're going to take the square root first. So the square root of 4 is 2. And 2 to the 7 is 64, so 128.
64, so 128.
Yes, 64, so 128.
Isn't that funny how our brains always work
That's right.
those ways?
Okay, so check this one out. What are we taking? We've got another negative here, but it's in the numerator. It's the exponent. We don't know how to do negative exponents,
So let's
so
move them.
we got to change it. We're going to make it 1 over 25 to the 3 halves. And now we're going to take the square root first. So that's 1 over 5 to the 3. And then 5 to the 3 is 5 times 5 times 5, 125. All right, one more on this page. Okay, now be careful here. Look at, what's the 4/5 next to? It's next to that parentheses. That means everything in the parentheses gets raised to the 4/5.
And the negative's inside of there this time.
Right, so even the negative is included in this. It's not left out on its own for a while. So we take the fifth root of 32, negative 32, and that's negative 2, and then raise that to the fourth power. Now that's even. So I want to put parentheses around that because it's all of it. Yes, all of it is taken to the fourth power. So negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2
Still positive.
is 16. Yep.
Cool.
All right, so be careful with the negative signs. Those are going to be little buggers.
All right, now for the more challenging ones.
Ooh.
Okay, so you need to remember all those exponent rules that we've talked about, and it's important to remember that some of us are going to want to simplify some things in a different order, and that doesn't necessarily mean we're wrong. Like, I don't like negative exponents.
I don't like them either.
So I want to take care of that first. So that x to the negative 4/7, I'm going to change that to 1 over x to the 4/7. And then all of that is still to the 7th power.
Okay.
Then that power on the outside of the parentheses, that is going to everything. It's a power to a power.
Woohoo!
On the bottom.
Power Rangers. Power to power. You got to make it powerful. Multiplication is more powerful than addition, so I think we need to multiply.
1 to the 7th on the top is just still going to be a 1. And then when you multiply 4/7 times 7, 7s are going to cancel, which is really nice. So this is our simplified answer. And remember, you can refer back to that list.
Nice list.
Yeah. It's all the simplifying criteria there. All right, let's try another one. Whew, okay.
All right, we got negative. We got to pay close attention.
Now, that's a negative 32, so should it go to the bottom?
No, it's not an exponent. It's a normal number.
Okay. I see that this fractional exponent is next to the parentheses, so that means that everything inside of those parentheses is going to get that 1/5 power. So I'm going to do that now. Negative 32 is going to be raised to the 1/5, and then I had y to the 15th, and that's going to be raised to the 1/5, which is power to a power, which means multiply. Okay, so that multiplying 15 is like over 1 times 1/5. That'll just give us a 3. It's really dividing by 5.
All right, that seems simple enough.
All right, and then I got to deal with this stuff. Remember, a 1/5 power is the same as the 5th root of negative 32, and we'll get negative 2. So final answer is negative 2y to the 3rd.
All right, that looks pretty simple.
Okay, the power, 3/4 power, is next to the parentheses, but notice that only the 16 is in the parentheses, so we're going to deal with the 2 later.
We don't multiply 2 times 16?
No.
Because of, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally?
Right, order of operations tells us we need to do exponents before multiplication.
Okay.
We have a 4th root, so let's take the 4th root of 16. When I do that, I get a 2. That's raised to the 3rd power. I still need to do that exponent first, so that becomes 8. Then we'll multiply it by 2. Final answer is 16.
Final answer, 16.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, we got negative exponents.
And I don't like them.
Me neither.
So I like to get rid of those first. So this is a negative exponent, that's going to move up. This is a negative exponent, that's going to move down. We're going to leave the 15 for a little bit. So y to the 1/3 goes in the top, and it's positive now. X to the 2/3 goes in the bottom. That's all to the 15th power. Now,
everything's in the parentheses. 15 goes to everything.
Yeah, and it's power to a power, so we're going to multiply. 15 times 1/3, that's like dividing by 3, so y to the 5th. And then now I'm going to do 2/3 times 15. So multiplying the numerator, that's 30 over 3. We get x to the 10th at the bottom.
Now we can't cancel the 5 and 10 because they're exponents and they don't have the same base.
So we can't like reduce.
Can't do anything.
Okay. All right.
Trust me?
I trust you.
All right.
Yeah, of course. All right, I threw this one in here because your book likes to do this every once in a while. Just throw an old school division symbol in there. We haven't seen that in a long time.
That's interesting.
So I'd probably write it as a fraction instead, x to the 1/10.
Now they're both x's, so
those are like
we can
bases.
Put them together.
And what is the rule for dividing like bases? What do you do with the exponents?
Subtract.
Subtract. So we got to take 3/5, and I need to subtract 1/10. And to do that, I need common denominators. I'm going to multiply these by 2's to turn it to 6/10. And when I do that, now I have common denominator. 6 minus 1 will get us 5 in the top. 5/10 is the same as 1/2. So final answer is x to the 1/2 power.
Or square root of x.
Or square root x, that's right. Last one.
Woohoo!
Oh boy.
Whoa, that looks dangerous.
There are no negative exponents. So we're not going to do any rearranging, but that 1/2 powers go into everything. Okay, 16. Let's do them one by one. 16 to the 1/2. So that is a number to a 1/2 power. Same as the
square root.
Right. So square root of 16 is just 4. Then I have power to a power, so I'm going to multiply those. 14 times 1/2 is just going to give us 7, so x to the 7th. Then on the bottom again, I've got a number. We're raising it to the 1/2 power. That's the same as the square root of 81, so just 9. And then power to a power, we're going to multiply, so I get y to the 9th. You might want to check to see if you can reduce that fraction, but I don't think that we can.
Nope, I think you did it. Nice job.
I think that wraps up 6-4.
All right, ta-ta for now.